Hi, welcome back to the fourth cup of coffee. Today, I'd like to talk about solo traveling and the value of solo traveling. I solo traveled and it changed my life, and I've reason to believe that it can change yours too. If you haven't been before, this is a great first step to building a relationship with yourself. If you want to go on a path of self discovery, this is a surefire way to do so. We spend so much of our lives distracted, surrounded by other people, surrounded by the same life problems, our jobs, our friends, our love lives, whatever that may be. When you solo travel, it can be a way to quieten the noise and to really hear yourself. It can be scary. I understand why people can be scared of it. I had the same experience. I was very fearful of solo traveling, but it genuinely changed my life. And I avoided it for about 7 years because, I don't know, I'd just make excuses like, I can't afford to this year, or, oh, but this year's like my family holiday, or this year I want to go on holiday with friends, or this person. And something would always end up coming before that thing, and something would always end up taking priority. And when that tends to happen, but you keep saying you want to go, you either don't really want to go or you're making excuses. And for me, it was the latter. I did want to go, but I was making excuses because, quite honestly, I was afraid to be with myself, to not be distracted for once and actually hear my own thoughts, my own limitations. Coming face to face with being responsible for myself, having the ultimate freedom I so desperately told myself I wanted, but being too afraid to actually hold it. So when I eventually did go, I went to Bali, and that came right after I went through one of the biggest transitions of my life, which was moving countries for work. And it's funny how I did one brave thing and then another brave thing came afterwards, and I was able to finally go. And when I did go, it was very confronting. And sometimes solo traveling can be like this. It can be confronting, but to yourself. So I went and I really got to know myself. One of the biggest takeaways for me was the constant anxiety that I felt over planning the trip and needing to have ticked things off a list that I've done because I had so much to do in Bali. I'd never been to Bali. So I was like, I need to get all of these things done so that I can tell people that I've done all these things. And without realizing it, I went into this freeze state of not knowing what to do and how to plan my day at all and not enjoying it. And that's the whole point. The whole point is enjoyment, but I managed to turn it into this big to-do list. And so it was very confronting because I ended up really seeing how I had linked the value of something like a trip or my experience of something to productivity somehow, which is fascinating to say the least, how this conditioning has worked on me, of being in this corporate world, of being in society where productivity is rewarded above all else. It's rewarded above enjoyment. It's rewarded above everything, really. It's about what you can do and what you can show with what you can do, and what you can show other people with what you can do. So for me, I'd spent much of my life like this, so no wonder I couldn't relax. I didn't know how to relax. I didn't know how to enjoy myself and just even do nothing. I mean, who was I trying to prove anything to on this trip apart from myself? I went for myself, right? So that was really confronting for me. And it was how addicted I had become to proving something, doing something, showing something. So I made the decision on this trip not to post anything about it and not to tell anyone apart from a couple of loved ones, obviously for safety reasons. But I'd implore you, if you're taking a solo trip, if you have social media, this was a big challenge for me, to not post it. Because then you can really be present and you just remove one more layer of performance that I think is so endemic in our lives, in our society, because of social media and because of just that need to constantly be validated or show what you're doing to the whole world and needing to be seen. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, with sharing, but I just think it's this like performative layer, and you're not, if it's detracting from your own enjoyment, then it does become a problem. And for me, I sort of, when I stripped back the layers on that trip and I really asked myself, what am I if I'm not constantly doing and I'm not good at anything and I can't do this right and I can't do that? What am I? What actually am I? And the answer that came to me was nothing. Nothing and everything. I don't need to be anything specific because, and I was looking at the, this is really fascinating to me because I was looking at nature while I was thinking this, and I was blessed to stay in a hotel, or it was an Airbnb actually, and it was overlooking the jungle. And I was looking at this aliveness in nature and the way that it just existed. It just was. Nature just was. It was like this raw state of being, unapologetic state of being. And I thought about myself and I was like, nature does not need a reason to exist. It does not need to prove its worth in order to exist or to just be. And neither should I. And so for me, this trip was a lot about releasing and letting go of whoever I was doing that for, and coming back to myself and being okay with just being a human, and not like we don't need to do anything to prove our existence. Like the fact that we exist is amazing enough as it is. And we are part of nature, and no other thing in nature spends its time trying to prove its worth or its value by output. So why do we do that? Why do we do that? And why like why can't we just be and let that be enough? Why do we attach so much meaning to titles and experience and jobs and degrees and all these things we've accumulated, all these things, or bags, or like wealth or status or houses, cars? Why do we need all of that? Like, if no one was there, and I understand we're very tribal, but if nobody was there to look at all of those things, would we care? Not really. I don't think we would. But also, I don't know. Just, yeah, why have we become so addicted to this idea that we constantly need to be productive or show something to almost what's that phrase? I think there was someone who used this phrase at work. It's like that's where you really show that you're worth what you're paid, or the money, or something like that. And it's funny that they spoke about that in the corporate world. It's like because it's all about proving yourself, isn't it? And they said something like, oh, when things go wrong, that's where you show your value, or like that you're worth something. And it's like, yes, but no. Like, my head, it's so crazy that you have to show your value. Like, we all have inherent value, but it's become really warped and tied to what you produce, because because this system needs you to keep producing so it can run. So you need to believe that. It needs to be tied to something personal to you in order for you to have buy-in and for you to have motivation to take part in it. Otherwise, if you didn't and you realize this was all a big farce and it's a big pantomime play, and your worth isn't attached to things, you wouldn't take it as seriously. People wouldn't be able to get away with overworking you or overworking the masses, because they'd just be like, nah, fuck that. Like, we don't care. Like, we know we're inherently valuable. We don't want to accumulate $1 trillion, because quite frankly, why does any human being on earth actually need that? Like, that is an exuberant, stupid amount of money that nobody needs. Like, not one person needing that amount of money is ridiculous. It's like, it's so much excess. Our brains can't even fathom it. It makes like no sense. But that's what's propagated and as the idea of like pinnacle of success. And it's like, but why do you even want to do that? Like, why do you even want to just accumulate and accumulate and accumulate? Like, what are we doing hoarding all this money? Like, what is it actually all for? And usually, honestly, it's all for a feeling. Like, that's why people do most things. That's why I think people are motivated for most things, because if you've accumulated so much money that your life is set, you're set for life, your family's set for life, you're set for life for generations, right? Now what? Like, what are you accumulating? What do you keep running after? Everyone has like internal motivation for things. So what are you chasing? More status? More this? Is it an empty void that you can't fill no matter how much money you make, that you have to keep going for more? I don't know. It's I think I'm not surprised that I tied my worth to that, because I think it's put in our faces so much, to be honest. That messaging is everywhere. Like, that messaging is everywhere. It's within the school system, it's within the universities, it's within jobs, it's within employment, your career. Parents propagate it, teachers propagate it, friends propagate it. That I think, if let's say you don't have anything like necessarily special that you do, or something you can show off with, or, you know, particularly impressive, I don't know, like title. It's all about whether you won't be seen as having made it, or being successful. You won't be, I don't know, that all gets tied to somehow you being enough and your worth, but it's really not, because it's like, those are all just labels, and those are all just masks that we wear anyway. Like, that doesn't detract from your worth, or that doesn't make you a better human being just because of, I don't know, just because you have a really fancy title or have lots of money. Can buy you more things. You can, to some extent, buy freedom, which could be nice, but yeah. Anyway, I went on a bit of a tangent, but yeah, thanks so much for joining me again on the fourth cup of coffee. It's night time, and I wanted to rant. I wanted to talk. Yeah, it's been nice talking to you, and thanks for joining me. Take care of yourself. Have a great evening. Bye bye.